What up, YouTube? I'm Anwar. Welcome to the War Room. And this weekend, unlike normal weekends, was a lot more eventful than I'm used to. So I had a lot going on this week. I just wanted to do a quick vlog, do a recap, review some of the things that I did, and just give kind of some opinion and see what y'all think, and maybe get a couple comments what y'all think about some of the stuff as well. So this Saturday we had here in Lansing. We had the Prime Music Festival. So Friday, Waka Flocka came into town. I guess had it rocking, and Machine Gun Kelly was out there. This DJ Marshmello, I don't really know who that is. I guess he's got a pretty big following. He's here, I think, on Friday or Saturday as well. And then Saturday, the Migos came to town, and shout out to my baby Coco the Connect. Could have some VIP tickets to that, but instead of going to that, I ended up staying at home and getting in my opinion, the super fight of the year. Put that in quotation marks. I ended up ordering that Triple G and Canelo, and I had a boxing gathering, a party, if you will. A couple of the fellas watching the fight, and just to jump right into it, I wasn't all that impressed. I thought would have been a little bit more, and then ultimately the outcome really just put a stamp on how much of a waste of money and time as far as an investment it was for me. Two phenomenal fighters. I thought Triple G was going to end up winning the fight before it started. That was my prediction. I felt like it could have been a potential slugfest because you got two ideal fighting styles that should play really well with each other. Canelo's more of a aggressive, come at you, attack you, can take punishment, likes to see how hard you can hit, just to really get a feel for what he's working with, and very assertive, and will counter punch as well in his own right. And then you've got a Canelo who's a really good counter puncher and more on the defensive, but will, as you come at him, has no problem standing there and going toe to toe with you. So I thought the two styles would mesh well, and it would have been something where somebody would have got hit with one and would have stumbled or backpedaled or maybe almost dropped to a knee, something of that matter. And it really wasn't much of that at all. I mean, there were moments where guys were connecting on punches, and there were some big hits from time to time, but overall it just didn't look like anybody did any real damage to each other. And it just felt like once I got to about round 8 or 9, I'm like, I feel like I'm going to get finessed out of my money with this. And ultimately, it's going to end up being some type of decision. And just based on how the judges were going, they had Canelo from round 3 to round 10, having him win every single round. And it just seemed really biased because I felt like as I said before, with Canelo being more of a defensive-minded fighter, he really tried to assert himself and be really aggressive, a lot more than I've normally seen him fight. Now, I haven't really watched a lot of Gennady, but the few fights that I have seen of him and Canelo, I haven't really watched a ton of him either. They seem to kind of play into, like I said, the aggressive versus the counter-aggressive guy, and it was kind of a role reversal at points in the fight. So I thought it was, would have been something where somebody we'd have been really able to see somebody take that next step and really assert their dominance. And just as you get towards the end of the fight, it's just, like I said, boxing is just so different now. I mean, it's always had this air of just having some real, salt in the game and just being real suspect. And we all kind of get caught up in the hoopla and the publicity of it and the ads. And ultimately, a lot of the fights that I've seen have all kind of ended the same, where nobody's really taking any real damage, nobody's falling, nobody's getting even remotely close to a 10 count. And then it ultimately comes down to decision, and I'm out of 50 plus, $100 or whatever every time. So now that I know that this ended up being a draw, because Canelo got one decision, Gennady got one, and the other guy put it at a draw. I know this set it up for Triple G Canelo to the writing was on the wall. Even with the fight that I seen yesterday, I was like, yeah, they're setting this up to hopefully run a trilogy so they can make all their money. But I think the second go around, I'm not going to be involved with myself. I'm definitely not paying for it. I might have the event here, but people will have to put in if they really want to see it. But overall, I was pretty disappointed. On a scale from 1 to 10, I'll probably give the fight a 7. Uh, Surprisingly, the Floyd and McGregor fight was a lot more entertaining than the Triple G and Canelo, in my opinion. Considering we knew how much of the circus and all the theatrics that were going on with Floyd and Conor, I had a better time with that fight than I did this last one. So it's just really, boxing is just really an interesting point because now with Floyd getting out of there, Canelo, Golovkin isn't getting any younger. He's like 35, 36. Canelo's a guy that potentially could take the torch, but boxing's just kind of been a real interesting lane. We've still got, I think his name is Terrence Crawford out of Nebraska. I really like his fighting, but for the most part, there's not really anybody there I think that's going to really take that next step and be able to keep boxing relevant for that matter. Because it's just a whole dying setup right now. It's just really unfortunate. I'm a guy that's been a fan of boxing going back to the 80s when I was a kid watching Sugar Ray and Hitman Hearns and Hagler, some of the real legends in the game, and then going to Mike being my favorite, and Evander Holyfield, George Foreman fighting. I mean, he was older, obviously, but him still fighting, and Pacquiao when he was young, and so on and so forth, some of these other guys, and then to see what Mayweather's took the sport, whether I don't really like his style as far as he's not. If you're a real boxing enthusiast, the object is not to get hit, and he's the master of that. But as far as really having a real show, he's just not really that guy. So for him to come back with his last fight and really step his game up compared to guys that are relatively in the prime, pretty much kind of lay an egg for me. It's a little disappointing. So, like I said, with that, maybe I should have just instead of getting the fight, maybe I should have went down. They had the Prime Music Festival, and maybe I should have checked out the Migos instead. But so I did that, and then today, aside from watching football, and we get into that a little bit later, I just came back from watching It. Not really a humongous horror movie fan. I'll go see them from time to time. More the nostalgia ones, the Michael Myers, the Jasons, the Freddy Kruegers, those types. Not really into the paranormal stuff, but it's a couple fun factoids. It obviously this one was a remake, but it came out in 1990 on ABC, and it actually was a 2-part TV movie. So when it came out on DVD, unless I guess you watched it from its inception on TV, a lot of people didn't know that it actually was a TV movie, and I didn't know it just till a couple of days ago. So that was an interesting fact. Stephen King movie, and overall, without spoiling the movie, I liked the movie. I thought it was pretty good. It's a really good remake. It had a lot of similarities to the other movie. There was, a lot of us have seen the beginning scene of Georgie losing his water boat down in the sewer and having the conversation with it. And in the older one, it just shows him getting pulled in. This one, I think, definitely took it to another level, way creepier, way scarier, with Georgie getting his arm bit off and then getting pulled into the sewer. So I think they did a better job with that. But yeah, it was a pretty good movie. I tried to go in and try not to get startled or what have you, and try to just lock in. But there were some moments that it would catch you off guard. So I thought it was a pretty solid movie. The kid, Finn Wolfhard, he's the actor from Stranger Things, another show I watch on Netflix. Really good show. You should check it out. Winona Ryder, and I think her name is Bobby Brown. She's 11, the star of the show. That's her name. Finn did a really good job. He's a sharp, young and up and coming actor. So But yeah, like I said, overall, without really ruining the movie because it's so new, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good remake. Um, they didn't do anything to hurt. I don't want to call it a franchise, but that aura of that movie. So overall, I mean, on a scale from 1 to 10, I probably would give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was pretty good. And so for those of y'all who've seen it, what do y'all think? Did you like the movie? Did you see it the first time or knew about the older movie prior to? What did you think about it? What were your thoughts? Same thing for Canelo. Did you like the fight? What did you think of it? Are you gonna do a rematch? Oh yeah, an early prediction I forgot to mention with the Canelo thing. I think with them having a rematch is setting it up, and Coco the Connect, she thinks they're gonna have the next one on Cinco de Mayo. So you heard it here first. Early prediction. I think we think it'll be Canelo versus Triple G next year at Cinco de Mayo. So we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, what do you think about the fight? Did you enjoy it? As well as what were your thoughts on it? Have you seen it? Did you like the movie? Have you seen the other one? You know, kind of where you were going with it. Do you have any biases? So on and so forth. So I just came from that, and for the most part, right now, I've just been watching the football recaps of some of the games. I didn't really watch a ton of football. The Lions come on Monday, and I'm gonna give my prediction on that and do some other cool stuff before I wrap this up. But from what I did notice in fantasy football, I had a pretty rough week. I've lost majority of my games. I think I'm gonna win maybe one or two. I still got a couple guys playing, and maybe I can turn it around and win close. But it's not looking too good right now. So this fantasy football season, I know it's week 2. Uh, Guys are still trying to figure stuff out. It's always a new season, but it's just been really interesting that a lot of the guys that went in top 10, really top 10, second round as well, third round. But we'll focus on top 10 for right now. Really, guys haven't played well at all. Unfortunately, David Johnson is out, we all know. Le'Veon, that's why I didn't pick him because he'd been playing training camp all week, all season. He struggled his first game against Cleveland. He didn't do much against Minnesota as well. So I think it's still going to take him a while to get into game shape. So that sucks for people that picked him early. I know he wants a big contract, but, you know, he's not doing too well. Zeke had a pretty big game against New York early on, but he really struggled at Denver today. That's a tough game. They got a strong defense and playing up there with the air quality, not air quality, the thinness of the air with the altitude. But guys like for example, for me, Mike Evans played really well. We all know, unfortunately, they couldn't play last week, Miami or Tampa Bay, because of Hurricane Irma and all those unfortunate events. So for them to play Chicago and for him to come out, he had 7 catches, 93 yards, and a touchdown. He put up really good numbers. He was a guy I picked in multiple leagues, so he's been one of the few that have stepped it up. Tom Brady had a rough go his first game, but man, he lit up the scoreboard. Today, he had 3 touchdowns before halftime. He got me a ton of points in quite a few of my leagues. Aaron Rodgers did okay, but who else is another one? Odell, he may not play tomorrow. Julio did okay. But for the most part, man, a lot of guys that were really supposed to take it, be those guys if you drafted them high, guys haven't really done that well. I think it's just going to be an interesting season. I just don't think it's going to be these really light up the scoreboard, dominant games. If you get double digits from any of your players, I guess you would consider yourself lucky because I've had a lot of inconsistency early on. I just think it's just going to kind of be the thing, especially as guys get hurt and some of these different issues that we have going on in the NFL. But overall, some of the guys that really stood out to me, like I said, Mike Evans had a really good game. Tom Brady was lights out. Gronk had a really good game until he got hurt. He's got a groin injury he's dealing with. Delaney Walker had a solid game. He's always one of my favorites, like I said. He's always somebody that can get you a really solid number every game. Ty Gurley bounced back. He had a fumble early on, and he ended up having negative yards, and he came back. He ended up putting up 23 in one of my leagues. Carlos Hyde had a really good game, surprisingly, with having a very limited offense in San Francisco. That was a really ugly game, too, 9-12, and Seattle barely beats them. Devontae Adams had a solid game. Martavis Bryant had a really good game against Minnesota. Antonio Brown didn't do much. C.J. Anderson had a good game. Jason Witten had a really good game. I think he broke the touchdown record, if I'm not mistaken. So congrats to him. No, that was Antonio Gates. He broke the record. Excuse me. Congrats to him. Definitely congrats to Antonio. Coming out of Detroit, playing at Kent State. We all kind of know his whole deal. Being a basketball player first. So kudos to him. He's had a phenomenal career. Broke Tony Gonzalez's record. So salute to Antonio. Alshon Jeffrey had a pretty solid game from what I see. The Denver defense played really well. Side note, the guy that I picked up and I didn't use him, I picked up Javarius Allen, the running back from Baltimore. I like the matchup against Cleveland. I just couldn't figure out a way to take certain guys out and put him in. I think I ended up keeping like Christian McCaffrey in one of my leagues, and ultimately he ended up outplaying him. So I might have to keep an eye on what Buck can do going forward. It looks like he possibly is going to be the number one back. What else happened in football? Olsen also got hurt. That sucked. He broke his foot. So I think he's going to be out for an extended period of time. Oh, and kudos to Kareem Hunt. Like, arguably, if we're going to really give out any early, like, acknowledgement and recognition, the best fantasy football player thus far has to be Kareem Hunt. And I was in a coma for sleeping on him and what he's been able to do. Coming out of Toledo, I didn't really know much about him, and apparently the Lions didn't either because we drafted the tight end. We could have drafted Kareem. I'm just saying. But, he's got himself in a really good situation. You're in an offense that likes to run the ball, and he's dynamic out the backfield as far as catching. So he's in a really good space. I feel like if he can stay healthy and, maintain, he's definitely one of the next stars in the NFL. So Kareem Hunt has been an absolute monster going this far. So kudos to him. So yeah. Oh, and then to round this out, as far as the fantasy aspect, got a question for y'all. Now that David Johnson is out, they say 2 to 3 months, possibly 12, 13 weeks. We all know fantasy, if you make the run, if I'm not mistaken, in most leagues, 16, 17 weeks. So we're in week 2, say, just to be generous, he's out for 12 weeks. So he comes back week 14. Do you still keep him on your roster that whole time, hopefully to be there and be able to be relatively effective going into your playoffs? Or is it too risky to keep somebody like that and to even play him coming off an injury like that and, knocking the rust off? So just really interested to see how y'all will play it. Because I've only got David Johnson in one of my leagues, and I haven't got rid of him yet. But ultimately, it's going to be something I'm going to have to think about moving forward. So, yeah, just real curious about that. But, like I said, I didn't really watch much football. I'm watching the recap now. Might check out a little bit of the Atlanta Green Bay game. But the Lions, we play Monday night against the New York Giants. We're on the road. And I like our chances. I think we got a real good chance. I think we go up there. It's early. New York always has, an issue early on getting themselves acclimated and really become a cohesive unit. We've seen that in the past. Winning the Super Bowl, going 9-7, beating the undefeated Patriots at that time. So they're always a team that turns it on towards the end of the season. So I feel like if there ever was an opportunity, now's our opportunity to strike, and I think we can win this game. I'm liking the fact that we don't really know what's going on with Odell. I see he had limited practice. He had limited practice. So, with that ankle thing, that was another reason why I didn't draft him, because I felt like that could be something that could linger all year. And now they're saying that really the injury to heal could take 6 to 8 weeks. Granted, you're just hearing a lot of different media stuff, so we really don't know how he's feeling, how he's doing. But, with a situation like that, it just doesn't – it's hard to get healthy with the ankle, all the lateral movement, stopping and cutting, planting your foot, going up in the air, landing, all these different things. It's relatively easy to re-aggravate that injury. So I think, him not being at full strength and Slay being at full strength, and ironically last year, Slay got hurt trying to tackle Odell. The tides have hopefully turned in our favor. And I think I like our chances. Brandon Marshall, I think we can contain him. I don't think Sterling Shepard is that much of an issue unless they get Everett Ingram involved and they can establish a run game with Perkins. I know he's struggled early on from what I've been seeing. We played really well against David Johnson in that first game. I think if we can stop the run and keep the receiving game in check and get some pressure on Eli, I think we can win this game. And I think we're going to win this game 24-17. And now I'm hearing also as well that Janoris Jenkins is having an issue with his hand. He's going to questionable. That's really going to help some of our wide receivers. Golden Tate is having an issue with his finger, but I think he plays. I guess he had it in the splint, or I don't know if he jammed it or broke it, but I guess he's going to still play. Kenny Galladay had a phenomenal game. Marvin Jones had a really solid game going up against Patrick Peterson. So having it only be possibly Eli Apple and Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, which is those guys are not nothing to sleep on, but to not be at full strength and have Janoris Jenkins go definitely helps us out as well. So we got that, that's one thing that we could take the top off possibly with Galladay. So we've just got to be able to protect Stafford because they've got a really good pass rush and they've got some really good linebackers. So as long as we can keep Stafford upright and really pick at that defense because, they're hurting right now and offensively for that matter as well. If we can exploit their weaknesses on both ends of the ball, I think we do really well. So I feel like we got to take that next step, be able to win this game because we got a tough game coming up with Atlanta right around my birthday weekend. So, I'll be 35. I'm trying to swing that game, and if I can, be able to do some stream while I'm there. So that's got some things in the works. Hopefully I can make it shape. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, before I, go any further, just want to take a quick moment because I don't know if I'll be able to do a podcast tomorrow or vlog or what have you. So in one of my earlier ones, I had paid homage to Barry, signing my banner. So we're going to pull that up real close on there. Like, hopefully y'all can see that. It's got a little glare, but yeah, you see that right there. Barry Sanders signed that at the top. One of my frames came in. So you see him on the back wall. It's going to be a constant growth of this. So we're gonna put this on the wall right now. And in homage of the first, our first Monday night game of the year. And hopefully we can pan it out, man. Hopefully it'll pan out well for us and we get the victory. So I'm going to put that up and try to get this bad boy to sit up there correctly. I'll fix it later, but there we go. So we got that bad boy up there right now. Looks good. So I'm just going to continue to add to the wall as the seasons progress and how it correlates. So we got that one on the wall. I'm going to fix it here in a second. It's a little crooked. But, yeah, so shout out to Barry for that one. And hopefully, as time goes on, I can get some more signatures and, really flood that thing out. So, and then on top of that, like I said before, I got my little consignment operation. I got a little page on eBay where I do all types of sports apparel, video games, high-end fashion, whatever, comic books. If I don't have it, I can find it. But I got a nice array of things. You should check out my page. It's under Anwar926. That's ANWAR 926. Got some phone posits on there, a lot of Nikes, a lot of nice stuff, man. So check it out. I might have some stuff on there that you like and some hats, jewelry, so on and so forth. So wanted to take this opportunity in light of that because it's relative to the theme. I just made 2 transactions, and we got this nice beauty right here. We got the Boston Red Sox, and see, it's just not any Boston Red Sox hat. This is going back to a real iconic look and wave growing up when I was a kid. I think New Era actually messed up because now a lot of the hats now are, you got the black under the brim or the team color under the brim. This is an iconic look, one of what you would call a retro hat with the clear white waistband or headband, excuse me, sweatband or whatever. Got it on the back. Just your basic nice hat, and these are hard to find. So, just shout out to my people that I get them from. But yeah, this is out here going out to Rhode Island. So salute to my man that copped this. And then one that's really cool, one of my favorites, we got this right here. So we got an authentic NFL. Let me back this up a little bit, excuse me. Authentic NFL jacket right here. My team. Great jacket in the heather gray. It's got the patch on the front, the Lions helmet on the side. Got the NFL shield, should be somewhere. Oh, it's not over here. But the NFL shield is on here somewhere. But yeah, oh, hey, here we go. The NFL shield right there. So yeah, this is going out to LA. So shout out to my man who copping that. Let me get this on camera, man. I get so confused looking at it backwards. But yeah, so we got that. We got that going out to LA. So much love to my man. Cop the jacket. So we're gonna send that out pronto tomorrow. So yeah, check out my page, man. I got a little setup on Twitter. I don't got no followers yet, but yeah, I got some heat on there as well. Some nice stuff. That's it's Cap Consign World, or what is it? I don't know. At Cap Consign World. So yeah, holla at your boy, man. I'll put it down in the description. On my tags. But check your boy out, man. I got a lot of heat on the page. So yeah, to round this out, I just want to take a quick moment and share my sadness and my condolences for Bobby Heenan, one of the legendary, iconic managers in the WWF. For me, I mean WWE now, but it'll always be the World Wrestling Federation. Bobby Heenan died today at 72. Had a career that spanned four decades. Always a heel as a manager, phenomenal commentator, had managed some of the greatest wrestlers, and had some of the best stories and themes in wrestling history. Bobby Heenan managed Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful, Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect. Sadly, Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect are dead as well. So a lot of my favorite wrestlers and guys that I looked up to, thought were the coolest, or a lot of them are dead, and they're dead right around their 50s before they get there. So, for Bobby to live till he was 72, I know he had some throat cancer issues and some other stuff going on, and he was able to bounce back from that. But yeah, just a really sad day. So condolences to Bobby Heenan's family. Much love and respect. He was always one of my favorite guys growing up. Just his style. He come out in his like a nylon bomber jacket, and to have the glittery BH on it, and the brain, as he was known, or the weasel, because he would always interrupt a match and do different things to distract the good guy back when they had good guys, and ultimately help his wrestler capitalize and get the victory. So yeah, Bobby was the man. Just how he would talk about certain wrestlers and certain commentators and how inferior they were. He had a really good vocabulary and just his whole appeal. So for those, the younger wrestling fans that don't really understand the history, you get an opportunity to do your research on Bobby the Brain. An absolute icon and legend, will be dearly missed. Real quick, probably my favorite moment, Bobby Heenan as a kid, was there was a match back in the late 80s. I probably would have been 6 or 7 years old, and it was on, I think it was Saturday Night Wrestling on NBC, and it was the British Bulldogs with Davey Boy Smith, the Dynamite Kid, versus the Islanders, which was Haku, and I think it was one of the head shrinkers. I can't remember exactly who it was. And the British Bulldogs would come out, really buff guys from England, came out in there. They had the English flag on their shorts, and they would come out with the British Bulldog Matilda. So that was always their little mascot when they would be at the wrestling matches. And I remember watching that match as a kid. This was back when I thought wrestling was real, and I I would go. It was to the death. Like you couldn't tell me wrestling wasn't real when I was a kid. So it was definitely a problem. That's how diehard of a wrestling fan I was back in the late '80s, early '90s as a kid. And when Bobby Heenan took Matilda from the British Bulldogs, man, that about killed me. So I was so upset. I thought he kidnapped the dog. They never got it back. They never brought it back on TV. But I just remember they were fighting in the ring, and Bobby took the dogs, and I was freaking out, man. So that was just always an awesome moment. Um, really, when wrestling had is was a great blend of actual wrestling along with the commentary and all the other themed elements that were involved with the music videos and the cartoons. And wrestling was just in a different wave and just a lot more enjoyable and not as corny as it is now. So, like I said, man, just rest in peace, Bobby Heenan. Gone but never forgotten. You're definitely missed, and appreciate everything you did. As definitely a fan of the WWF, the WCW, all of the legends. It's good to see Ric Flair is bouncing back. So, like I said, man, that these guys that unfortunately are passing on, man. I really appreciate what you brought to the table. So, rest in peace to you and condolences to your family. And with that, man, I think I'm gonna round it out. I just want to get on here and talk about a little bit of stuff. I'm gonna probably watch a little bit more of this Atlanta game, this repeat. But yeah, I might try to do another one. I don't know. I already gave my prediction for the Lions game. I might do a stream with some more 2K. I've been trying to step my guy up with that. But like I said, again, I'll talk about the Lions game after that's over. But appreciate y'all tuning in. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Check out my YouTube page. I'm gonna leave it in the comments. Like I said, send me a comment. For some of the questions I asked. I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. I'm gonna wrap this thing up, man. Y'all have a good night.